Chair thanks the gentlewoman. Recognize the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Johnson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for holding this hearing, and all of you for your time and your expertise. It does mean a lot to us. Many of you are old hats at this game, but don't. This is a sparsely attended hearing, but the record is going to matter a lot to us. There's a lot going on. It's our last week before August recess, so everybody's scattered all over the Hill. Their lack of presence here doesn't mean they're not interested. We're all keenly interested in this, and your statements, the transcript of this testimony is going to help us a lot, so thank you for that. I came out of the state legislature in Louisiana, and I'm ashamed to say that our state, while I tried to fix it when I was there for 2 years, probably ranked lowest on these lists, where we probably have the worst. I think we have the highest sales taxes in the nation, or we might be a close second now. It's a big problem. Retailers are very concerned about all this, and I appreciate all your testimony. Let me go through as many questions as I can. Mr. Norquist, appreciate all your work. The question I have is, could foreign governments use the Supreme Court's removal of the physical presence standard as a justification to impose on U.S. companies tax burdens based on economic nexus, like the digital services tax?
They're already doing it. They're already talking about that. The Europeans are all excited about this, and they think we opened the door, and our courts can't even protect ourselves. California went after a guy named Hyatt, who invented something in Nevada, but they think maybe he thought of it when he lived in California, so they sent people over to harass him, and cops and all sorts of illegal things. Went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says it's unconstitutional, this is illegal, you can't send police from California and go after this guy here. And here's this huge fine for having done it. Nothing. California just sits there and laughs at them. So any state can, oh, they'll all be very reasonable. Oh yeah? Not when there's enough money on the table, they won't be. And they just sit there, they went after the guy that harassed him, the Supreme Court said you can't do that, and they said we don't care, and we don't pay our bills, and we don't care what this fine was that you say we're supposed to pay. And the Europeans will have even more contempt for the American court process than does the state of California.
It's ironic, since taxation without representation, as has been pointed out today, was one of the animating principles that started the American Revolution.
It's habit forming. Politicians love it.
Yes, yes. One of the ideas we've been talking about is the Business Activity Tax Simplification Act, BATSA, would prevent state overreach in the area of business income taxes. Is there a greater need now, obviously, for bills like that in the wake of Wayfair?
Yes, because this has always been the target. When I have argued with the lobbyists who were theoretically working on the other side for the big retailers, they were actually working for the spending interests, and their position was, we just want the money, and there's no money in the sales tax, nothing worth looking after. We're looking over the sales tax into corporate income taxes and personal income taxes. Fly across our state, land in our state, make a business deal maybe in our state. They want some vig.
One more. New Hampshire is working on legislation to shield its online sellers from onerous sales tax collection obligations imposed by other states. First, is that a good model? And second, what else do you think states can do to protect sellers from extreme compliance burdens? Is there a role for Congress in that part of it?
Well, I think each state should protect its own small businesses by insisting that any judicial questions on this be settled by their state court, not somebody else's state court. This went through the California state courts. They had no limitations on what they were willing to do to some guy in Nevada. Why would they care? Okay, they don't. And so it's important that you have the judges here. The other part of no taxation without representation is we objected to the Brits wanting to try our guys in Britain. They wanted to have trials in Britain, not here, when they'd been abusive to Americans. So that case where you say if you want to go after a small business in New Hampshire, you will go before a New Hampshire judge, not a California judge or a Chicago Cook County judge. That's not happening. That's a good start, and making the case that states have the right to protect their citizens.
That's good, Mr. Cleland. Really appreciate the limited government mission of your organization. You've written about how Wayfair will impact the spending habits of citizens. I'm really interested in that. You've said that instead of states expecting inevitable increased revenues, they should be wary of increased taxes, meaning citizens have less to spend, obviously. But as you've all pointed out, many of the states have not understood this reality. The question I have is, how many states have taken the approach so far of reducing their taxes to try to attract businesses, or attract new business to reside there, to create new jobs and all the rest? And if so, do you think you have any data that demonstrates the result of those decisions? In other words, can we show with empirical evidence that that's the right approach.
So my direct answer to your question is I don't have that with me, and I will check with our tax folks back home, back at the office, to see if they do. What I will tell you experientially is, yes, every state, every locality, you can't open the newspaper, including here in this area. Virginia is trying to lure Amazon. Maryland is trying to lure Apple, and vice versa. People are trying to have the Redskins move the stadium somewhere else. We're trying to figure out a place to put a soccer team, and they all propose reducing taxes in one way or another. It highlights the notion that taxes really are a local issue. It's not out there, it's not virtual. And by the way, Louisiana, fair to Midland, 28th.
We're a little better than I thought. We do have the highest sales tax, though. Thank you, I'm out of time. Thank you. I yield back.